Hey friends, I am on my last evening here in Tucson. It's been a lovely time. I've spoken over the last couple of days sort of what this time has kind of meant to us as a family, and some of the things that show up when you really get unbroken time with your family, with my partner and with my daughter. It's been fantastic. And something else kind of showed up for me this morning, and I recalled, I actually believe I may have even done a post about this on another vacation, another time that I was somewhere with basically, some time for just decompressing, being with family, sometimes being with extended family. But what came to me was kind of interesting, and I thought it was, even if I've spoken about it before, I wanted to unpack it again, because there's something that happens when we go into vacation mode, or at least I won't say that it just happens. I think it's a particular kind of response, or a particular kind of observation that we have the ability to make. And it's kind of particular to being on vacation, being somewhere where there is essentially no agenda, no plans, no responsibilities. And the observation that I made, or that sort of showed up for me today, and I thought, interesting. Let me reflect on this a bit. Has to do with the underlying dissatisfaction that many of us feel all the time, and which in many, many cases forms the basis for essentially all of our thinking and all of our action. Now, what do I mean by that? By the underlying dissatisfaction, what I'm talking about is if we really become still in a kind of meditative way, if we really allow our awareness to settle into the body and the mind, what we will notice is that we constantly, at least initially, I think it's perfectly possible to unravel a lot of the impulses that I'm about to talk about. But before we can unravel them, we have to see them. And a lot of times, the first experience of seeing all of our impulses from a context of real stillness, we start to realize, oh my God, everything I'm motivated to do, I'm motivated by some kind of dissatisfaction, whether it's fear, whether it's agitation, whether it's craving, whatever it may be. And that's an important thing to see. It's a very helpful thing to see, especially if we can just kind of sit with it. I noticed it this morning. I'm speaking about this because it happened to me. I was sitting in the hotel room this morning and there's some part of me that was just like wildly agitated. What do I want to do today? What are we going to do? There was something like I was like, do I want to eat something? Do I need coffee? Do I want to go outside? What do I need today? What do I need? And I was like, wait a minute. I don't need anything. I'm literally on vacation. We have nothing. The only agenda for today is that we have fun. enjoy ourselves and each other. And seeing that and then realizing, my God, where am I trying to go? Do I think a cup of coffee is gonna like make me feel satisfied? Do I think food is gonna make me feel satisfied? Because they're obviously not. They're just the first thing that I think of in the morning, or that I happen to be thinking of this morning. And then, and if I give in to them, then not only will I be giving in to a particular craving, but I'll also be starting on I'll be basically getting on board a train of compulsive action arising out of dissatisfaction in an endless attempt to find satisfaction that will never actually arrive at satisfaction, and that really will just constitute a kind of distraction from the pregnant stillness, from the perfect stillness, the perfect presence that's already here all the time. And so, as I made that observation this morning, I just kind of sat back. I just sort of said, okay, hold on. So let's. What if we just don't do that? What if I just assume that I don't need anything? And I let myself. I didn't meditate with it. Katie and Annalise were already up and about. The room was hopping, so I was just kind of letting myself sit back and be present. And as I did that, I very quickly realized, okay, now I think I can do something today, do whatever is next, without trying to feed an addiction, without trying to alleviate dissatisfaction, and really with just a kind of easy presence and already satisfiedness, which, if we're acting from that place, we get a whole other kind of action, we get a whole other kind of outcome usually, because we're suddenly not trying to avoid dissatisfaction. Action is not this compulsively motivated dodging of the present moment. And so what I found was I felt really lucky to be on vacation, to have a couple days because you kind of need the context of nothing needing to get done. Because on a normal day, even a weekend, if there's anything in our day that sort of needs to get done, right? Like we need to go to work, we need to get our daughter to school, we need whatever it is that needs to get done. Any of those things will create little hooks where our that underlying feeling of dissatisfaction will simply project itself onto the next thing that needs to get done. And now all of a sudden, we've already launched the compulsion train, and we don't really have to look back, because in our mind, we're perfectly justified in pursuing all these things because they need to get done. They actually do need to get done. And so it's kind of helpful to have a period of time when we can't convince ourselves that anything needs to get done, when it's actually not the case that anything needs to get done. And because here's the counterintuitive thing about that. We think that the things that need to get done are the things that are stressing us out. But that's not true. Actually, what's happening is the things that need to get done are the things that are alleviating temporarily our underlying dissatisfaction. They're allowing us to perpetuate our underlying dissatisfaction, but they provide relief from the feeling of dissatisfaction, because now we're getting something done that needs to get done. And for a moment, while we're in that action, we can convince ourselves that it's actually about completing the action and not about alleviating the underlying dissatisfaction. It's not the case that that's true. It's just that we can convince ourselves of that. But we can live a lot of our life doing things that need to get done and never notice that the underlying motivation for getting all that stuff done is a sense of dissatisfaction that never changes. It never changes. The only way it changes is if we stop serving it and stop acting as though the next action is going to alleviate it, and simply sit with it. Because then we can realize that it's not real. That underlying dissatisfaction is, well, whether we realize that it's not real, kind of like seeing through the illusion, that's one time, that can be the experience. The other experience can be that we sort of find something deeper that's fully abundant and fully satisfied already. And when we put our focus on that, all of a sudden, the underlying dissatisfaction, we know it's a lie. We can tell it's not true. And generally, when we tap into that deeper place, it just kind of goes away. Like it's outclassed, outranked. We've got the trump card. So anyway, this is one of my, vacation reflections, I think, but it's really a kind of a powerful thing that this type of time can offer us. Time when we can't convince ourselves that anything needs to get done is time when we can look at the underlying motivation for everything we ever get done, everything we ever do, and just observe, where are we coming from? Because this morning, I could have started my day just like going right down the string of compulsions. And I'm not saying that at some point in the day I didn't still get on that train in some way, or that it didn't it didn't take over here and there. But the practice is becoming as aware of it as we possibly can. And whenever we observe ourselves either on that train or about to get on the train, Take a breath. Realize, even just intellectually realize, that's not true. That underlying dissatisfaction is not real. It's not the real, it's not really the deepest motivation. It might be what's motivating us now, but it's not where we want to be coming from on the deepest level. And then hopefully, sometimes just by seeing it and sort of sitting back from it, we can go, okay, I don't need to do any of those things that we're going to try and satisfy that. So if I don't need to do any of those things, then what do I want to do? Because it might be a very different set of things. So, I feel like for my last day of vacation, it's exactly what I needed. A really nice revelation came through. It feels like a really beautiful insight for this time to bestow. So, that's where I'm at today, folks. If this resonates with you, if you've experienced anything like this, let me know. Send me a comment. I'd love to hear. But I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.